Welcome to Through the Bible in 90 Days. Thank you for joining us for session 4, the study of Genesis chapter 40, verse 12 through Genesis chapter 50, verse 28. The story of Joseph in Genesis reveals profound spiritual truths about God's sovereignty, God's forgiveness, and faithfulness to his promises. Through Joseph's journey from betrayal to leadership, we discover how God works through our trials to accomplish his greater purpose. I'm Dr. J. David Taylor. Let's get started. God's sovereign hand is at work in every situation, even in the most difficult circumstances. In Genesis chapter 40, verses 12 to 23, Joseph interprets the dream of Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker while in prison. Joseph's unjust imprisonment, despite his integrity, was part of God's larger plan to elevate him and save many lives. See, Joseph's ability to trust in God's sovereignty during these trials show us that our difficult situations are not always meaningless. They are often part of God's greater plan. As believers, we must understand that God is at work even in the moments of suffering, and he uses those trials to bring about his purpose and his glory. Genesis chapter 40, verse 12 says, "And Joseph said unto him," this is the interpretation, "the 3 branches are 3 days." In Genesis chapter 40, verse 14, the Bible says, "But think of me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness. I pray thee unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house." Wow. God calls us to forgive and reconcile even when we've been wronged deeply. In Genesis chapter 45, verse 1 to 15, Joseph reveals himself to his brothers who had previously sold him into slavery. Instead of seeking revenge, Joseph forgives them, acknowledging that what they intended for harm, God used for good. This moment highlights the transformative power of forgiveness and the importance of reconciliation in the Christian walk. So as believers, we are called to forgive others, not because they deserve it, but because God has forgiven us. Forgiveness restores broken relationships and allows God's grace to work through us. Genesis chapter 45, verse 4 says, "And Joseph said unto his brethren, Come near me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom ye sold into Egypt." Genesis chapter 50, verse 20 says, "But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive." See, God's promises to his people endure across generations, and he remains faithful to them even when we are gone. In Genesis chapter 50, verses 24 to 45, as Jacob family prepares for his burial in Egypt, Joseph reminds his brothers that God will surely visit them and bring them back to the promised land. Despite Joseph's position of power in Egypt, he never lost sight of God's promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The legacy of God's promise extends beyond an individual lifetime, and we as believers can have confidence that God will fulfill his promises to future generations. In Genesis chapter 50, verse 24, it says, "And Joseph said unto his brethren, I die, and God will surely visit you, and bring you out of the land unto the land which he sware to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob." In Genesis chapter 50, verse 25, it says, "And Joseph took an oath of the children of Israel, saying, God will surely visit you, and shall carry up my bones from hence." Imagine being betrayed by your own flesh and blood, sold into slavery, and imprisoned for something you didn't do. Yet in the midst of all of this, you don't turn bitter. You don't seek revenge, and you don't give up on the future. This is exactly what happened to Jacob. See, the challenge that we face today is that when we feel life has been unfair, when we've been hurt by others, and when things aren't going the way we expect, it's easy to become frustrated and question God's purpose. We want to seek revenge, hold grudges, or simply give up. See, here's a new way of thinking about your situation. What if God is using your current struggles for a bigger purpose? What if suffering and setbacks are part of his plan to shape you, to teach you, and to lead you to something greater? Now is the time to take action? Will you trust in God's sovereignty even when life feels out of control? Will you choose to forgive, to reconcile, to walk in peace, knowing that God is in control of every detail of your life? It's time to stop letting circumstances dictate your peace. Instead, let your trust in God's plan bring peace, bring joy, and bring strength. Trust that God will fulfill promises to you and to those who come after you. God is at work in your life even when you don't see it. His plan is bigger than anything you can imagine, and he is faithful to bring it to completion. It's time to live in that faith with the confidence that he will fulfill every promise he has made. Let's make 3 declarations together. I declare that I will trust in God's sovereignty, knowing that he is at work in every circumstance in my life, even in times of trial and tribulation. I declare that I will forgive and reconcile, following the example of Joseph, trusting that God can use my forgiveness to bring healing and restoration. I declare that I will trust in God's promises, knowing that he is faithful not only to me but to future generations. I will walk in the assurance of that his plan is bigger than anything I can see. I challenge you today. Will you trust that God is working in every situation, even in your pain and your struggle? Will you choose to forgive those who have wronged you and let go of bitterness, knowing that God has a bigger plan? Will you walk in the confidence that God's promises will be fulfilled in your life and in future generations? So don't let struggles define you. Let God's sovereignty and faithfulness shape your life. Trust him in every part of your journey and walk in his peace, walk in his forgiveness, and walk in his purpose. Well, our time is up. Thank you for joining us in the study of Genesis chapter 40, verse 12 through Genesis chapter 50, verse 28. The story of Joseph in Genesis revealed profound spiritual truths about God's sovereignty, God's forgiveness, and faithfulness to his promises. See, through Joseph's journey from betrayal to leadership, we discover how God works through our trials to accomplish his greater purpose. This was session 4 in Through the Bible in 90 Days. I'm Dr. J. David Taylor. I will see you next time.